Alright, meet the Galaxy Z Fold 8 and the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra. So this time around, we won't be spending a decade talking about the design and aesthetics. Instead, how do they actually compare in the real world and which one should you really get? Here I've installed all the major apps and quite a few games here. We'll be looking into how the new aspect ratio here on the Fold 8 truly affects our real-world experience and usability when it comes to not only video watching but social media scrolling and gaming as well. Without further ado, allow me to highlight once again the hinge mechanism here. This time around it sort of springs open, even when I'm holding it like upside down. Now if you've watched my previous review or any other review of the Trifold, you might find this mechanism sort of familiar. And apparently they're using it on the Fold 8 Ultra as well. It springs open and it stays completely flat. Right, moment of truth, video watching and gaming experience across these two devices. In the meantime, this is how the crease looks like under my camera, and I'm definitely pushing them to the limit, almost like using them as a mirror, reflecting all the lights from lighting equipment behind me. Let me put it this way, the flex titanium architecture they're using this year truly pays off. The crease is still there if we're searching for it like this, but it's barely there. Together with the anti-reflective coating, it's easily one of the best crease control out there. In my opinion, however, it's sort of like the cherry on top. What truly surprised me is how sturdy they feel in hand. Huge thumbs up for the new hinge design. Together with a larger silicon carbon battery, we're talking about 5000 mAh battery here on the Z Fold 8 Ultra and 4800 here on the Fold 8. Together with a mature hinge design, they have all the potentials of being the mainstream, finally. The dream of having a tablet replacement or even a PC replacement if Android system serves you good enough, it could be finally here once and for all. Now the screen. The Ultra's got a 6.5-inch 21:9 Ultra display. It's definitely the taller and narrower one here. Now the interesting bit is here, the Fold 8's actually got a 5.5-inch display and it's a 16:10 one. Despite the smaller figures, it doesn't feel smaller in hand. The width of this particular one when folded is actually going all the way up to 81.9mm. One-hand usability is actually great due to the shorter aspect ratio, so I wouldn't be able to hold it tightly wrapping it around with my fingers. On the contrary, the 21:9 6.5-inch display here on the Ultra definitely feels more natural and familiar in hand, and by comparison, my regular sized hand can wrap around it like I usually do on most telephones. In terms of the thinness of the devices, however, it would be much closer. The Ultra's measured at 4.1mm when unfolded and 8.9mm under 9mm when folded, 4.5mm for the Fold 8 when it's in the mini tablet form and 9.7mm when it's folded. It's lighter though, coming all the way down to 201 grams compared to 215 grams on the Ultra. Now the displays. The Ultra displays on the Fold 8 Ultra and the Fold 8 isn't going to be the largest one we could be getting out of a foldable phone for sure, though it's fascinating to see for 16:9 videos watching. The 5.5-inch display here on the Fold 8 actually gives a larger 16:9 area compared to the Fold 8 Ultra, with minimal letterboxing when it comes to 16:9 movies watching. It's also possible to stretch it to full screen. Now it's not as Nolan intended, but it's not cutting out a whole lot of information either. What about if we compare the Fold 8 and the Fold 8 Ultra, the Ultra displays to the S26 Ultra with a humongous 6.9 inches display? Alright, the Ultra phone from the S series still offering a larger 16:9 area for video watching. The Fold 8 is actually really close and is mesmerizing to look at thanks to the full screen, all-screen effect. And third, the Fold 8 Ultra. Now, if we're watching a 21:9 film, that would be totally another story. It's a perfect fit on the front display of the Z Fold 8 Ultra. Now, we'll be getting a much smaller 21:9 image here on the Fold 8 due to the 16:10 aspect ratio on the cover display. We're still getting the largest 21:9 area on the S26 Ultra, however. What truly matters though, unfolding the Fold 8 Ultra, here's the interesting bit. The Ultra's got an inner display with an aspect ratio of 9:10. It's square-ish, but it's not completely a square. Now, if we're holding it this way, vertically, we're not getting a whole lot more screen real estate when it comes to 16:9 videos, compared to even the cover display on the Fold 8. Now, just rotate it. We're still not utilizing the entire display on the Ultra, though we're getting a larger image. And right, unfolding the Fold 8. On paper, the 7.6-inch display on the Fold 8 appears to be smaller than that on the Ultra, which has got an 8-inch display. Now look, in reality, they're actually delivering really similar 16:9 video area. We're getting a slightly larger 16:9 video size on the Fold 8, Once again, not a day and night difference, as when we're looking at the width of the Fold 8, when it's completely flat, it actually reaches 161.4mm wide, while the longer side of the Ultra when unfolded is actually measured at about 158.4mm. So we'll be getting 3mm of extra length on the Fold 8 when it's in this sort of landscape orientation. So naturally it will give a slightly larger image, while both the Fold 8 Ultra and the Fold 8 will be giving a much larger video image compared to the S26 Ultra. And this is how it looks like when we're watching a 21:9 video on the Fold 8 and the Fold 8 Ultra. If we take a closer look, the Fold 8 is actually delivering a marginally larger image compared to the Ultra, while the S26 Ultra's actually got the largest 21:9 area. Right, before all the disappointment, I must say foldable phones are always meant for multitasking, especially when it comes to a Samsung foldable. More on that in a minute. Now here's how 4x3 content looks like across the board. The cover screen on the Fold 8 actually got a slightly larger image compared to even the S26 Ultra, and the Fold 8 Ultra's got the smallest image among the bunch. Right, the large screen in a display. So we're looking at a 4x3 display on the Fold 8, so naturally that would be a full screen, all-screen effect here. And in this orientation, we'll be getting that extra 3mm of extra length. Now, not only is it delivering the largest 4x3 image across the board, it's also utilizing the entire display to do that. Now, to be fair, the real difference we'll be able to see here would be on the S26 Ultra. Alright, in the second half of this video, the upcoming couple of minutes, we'll be focusing more on gaming. Now I've set the camera on a tripod and holding them at a fixed distance, so you may compare not only the field of view of the gameplay, but the difference in the size of the displays as well. Once again, it's pretty clear that the Fold 8 Ultra's got a 21:9 display on the cover screen. It's absolutely going to dominate when it comes to the field of view of the gameplay. The Fold 8, on the contrary, the 16:10 display is definitely not as wide, so it's quite a popular and familiar aspect ratio if we're comparing it to a standard modern PC. However, the more sensible comparison would definitely be comparing it to the S26 Ultra. Now we're only using the cover screen on the two foldables, which is totally missing the point, especially when it comes to the Fold 8. The main point is, as you can see here, the Fold 8 behaves more like the Fold 8 Ultra, being part of the Fold series, not the Flip series. It runs apps and games without any issue on the cover screen. When it comes to the aspect ratio in the meantime, there's really nothing to badmouth about when it comes to a 16:10 display. So as it's a fair comparison, we're definitely getting a wider field of view here on the Fold 8 Ultra, and like in League of Legends, both the S26 Ultra and the Fold 8 Ultra displays 6 champions in the selection menu, compared to 5 on the Fold 8. Now the in-game field of view could be what truly matters. The S26 Ultra's right in the middle between the Fold 8 Ultra and the Fold 8 when it comes to the field of view, so due to the larger 6.9 inches display, when it comes to full-screen gaming experience, I do find the experience in general on the S26 Ultra appears to be superior. Don't get me wrong, the 21:9 display on the Fold 8 Ultra is definitely going to give you that advantage of having a wider field of view, while the 16:10 display on the Fold 8, the cover screen, it truly feels like gaming on a PC, only on a slightly more compact one. And here it comes to the biggest highlight of this video, gaming on the larger inner display. Now, it's always been like this on the Fold 8 Ultra, the sort of square-ish display. It definitely makes every game look humongous due to the sheer size of the display measured at 8 inch. So the 9:10 aspect ratio absolutely limited the field of view. So if you found gaming experience on the traditional book-style foldable limited in the past couple of years, the new aspect ratio on the Fold 8 could be made just for you. I must say, however, 4x3 is not even close to perfect for gaming, so it's definitely better than the square-ish experience, especially it can be folded into a really tiny and compact phone. And as you can see here, some games don't even support the 9:10 square-ish aspect ratio even up to this date. In this case, the Fold 8 will naturally be delivering a more immersive experience due to the wider and larger display that goes from edge to edge. Now, I actually found the difference when it comes to games like League of Legends would actually be the largest of them all. You definitely appreciate the extra field of view you've got here on the Fold 8. Once again, 4x3 is nowhere close to perfect when it comes to games like these, but it's much better and I can totally live with it. It would naturally be totally on another level if we're comparing it to the S26 Ultra. Right, moving on to multitasking, it could be where the traditional book-style foldable Fold 8 Ultra truly shines. As you might have been expecting, splitting the wider screen on the Fold 8 into 3 halves is definitely doable. The software is here, so the smaller two windows on the right is going to be more compressed as expected, while the software here is actually mature enough to push the lower right smaller window slightly above when you're typing on the keyboard. So at least you'll be able to see what you're actually typing. The extra mile when it comes to the software is here. Due to the wider screen, Samsung's allowing us to split the screen into 3 halves horizontally, like having 3 phones running at the same time side by side. It actually behaves more like the trifold when it comes to multitasking, which I've just reviewed back in a while ago. I've actually tried rearranging the apps on the Fold 8 Ultra as well. There's no way for me to like splitting the screen into 3 halves horizontally. But if 2 is enough for you, the Fold 8 Ultras actually like having 2 Ultra flagship phones regular smartphone size side by side. You'll also be getting larger total screen area on the Fold 8 Ultra, so in my opinion, if you're really into multitasking and that's your top priority when choosing a foldable phone, the Ultra is still the one to go. While the Fold 8 is built for multimedia consumption and gaming possibly, it's great for multitasking at the same time. Oh, and the Fold 8 and the Fold 8 Ultra's actually been upgraded to One UI 9 based on Android 17 out of the box. And in total, we can have 3 split-screen views and 5 pop-up windows. 8 apps running in the foreground all at once at the same time. There's one feature or mode missing on the Fold 8, however, and it will be the Flex mode, which we have on the Fold 8 Ultra. It's an in-between mode splitting the screen into 2 halves, showing what we will most likely be looking at in the top half, while having the quick settings and control panel on the lower half of the screen. It's built into the software on the Fold 8 Ultra, not on the Fold 8. On the hardware side of the story, I also found the hinge appears to be slightly different on the Fold 8 Ultra compared to the Fold 8. Don't get me wrong, they are both really sturdy. The only difference is the Fold 8 Ultra is able to stay half opened at a wider angle, and when it's nearing the end of a journey, it springs open. On the contrary, the Fold 8 only stays in place when it's all the way up to about 100 degrees maximum, I would say. Passing that threshold is not getting loose or getting pulled unfolded by the gravity by any means. Instead, it sort of springs open like I've mentioned previously. It could be designed this way, so the Fold 8 actually behaves more like a mini tablet, a proper tablet, instead of a folding phone. And in fact, the 16:10 outer display here on the Fold 8 actually feels and looks almost identical to half of the inner display on the Fold 8, so you may utilize that as well. The only mode which I wish they could add through future software updates would be Flex mode for the built-in camera app. As right now, I can use it like the Fold 8 Ultra, leaving it half opened, tilted the camera slightly upward and using the phone itself like a tripod. It's got all the horizontal lock super steady mode and auto framing feature here on the Fold 8. It works, but it's not showing the entire complete 16:9 video on the upper half of the display. The result the video will be getting in the end would be the same, though the experience I've got here on the Fold 8 Ultra appears to be more complete. Speaking of polished software, it's the 8th generation of foldable phones from Samsung, so after 8 years of development, it would definitely be reasonable for us to expect everything to be perfect, and it appears to be the case here, such as the uninterrupted transition between the cover screen and the inner display. Now, if it's your first time encountering a Samsung foldable phone, they've actually got 3 different settings for continue apps on cover screen. Now, the first one being never. I believe some of you out there actually prefer to use your foldable phone actually like a mini tablet most of the time, not so much using it like a normal phone scrolling across the cover display. In this case, putting it to sleep whenever you decided to fold it back up could actually be a great idea to save some battery. It will quit the app which you are using and go back to home screen altogether. Alright, the exactly opposite would be always to continue apps on cover screen in between the inner display and the cover display. However, once in a while, I do find it to be quite frustrating, as first I have to close, fold the device, and then press the side button just to put the phone away. With that said, the ideal mode for me myself would be swipe to continue app. This way, the phone will go into the lock screen every time when I'm folding it. It's not locked yet, however. There's a tiny little arrow icon there. Swiping up will bypass it and carry on with whatever I was doing. As you can see here, the video is still running, uninterrupted. Perfect. In the meantime, if I just leave it there after closing the device, it will just go into sleep mode, and it will go back to home screen and quit the app which I was using as well. Just like this, the video is now no longer playing in the background. It could save some battery as well. And just before we wrap everything up, third-party apps optimization here on the cover display, the wider aspect ratio here on the Fold 8, as we have a wider display even compared to the S26 Ultra, so the 4:3 image here naturally appears to be the biggest of them all. However, we won't be able to see the text and even the like and comment button. Now the larger inner screen, right, the Fold 8 is actually able to show the entire image and is actually leaving some room for the text as well, while the navigation buttons are all pushed to the left edge, leaving the center, the safe area of the display, to be really clean, only showcasing the post itself. Now the square-ish ratio here on the Fold 8 Ultra is got a layout more like what we've got on the Fold 8 on the cover screen. Right, short videos watching as well. Here on the Fold 8 it shows the 16:9 video with minimal distraction, having all the navigation buttons and the like and comment share button on the right hand side outside of the 16:9 area. Similar layout here on the Fold 8 Ultra, though we'll be dealing with more letterboxing spaces. So that's pretty much it. To me, the Fold 8 Ultra with a sort of square-ish aspect ratio, it feels more comfortable and natural to use when it comes to multitasking. It's like holding two phones simultaneously vertically. It could be ideal for multitasking. While the now called Fold 8, the regular Fold 8, without a doubt it could be a game changer when it comes to video watching and especially when it comes to gaming. The 4x3 inner display truly elevates your multimedia experience. To me, it's like having a giant phone which can be folded into a sort of mini square-ish mini phone. Now, which one's your pick? Do let me know in the comment section below. It's a really interesting year. And hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. See you all next time.